Hey folks, this is Pat coming at you. Today I am going to show you how to make this a rear elevation drawing for your scene designs or for your construction drawings, anything like that. So when we are done with the project, we are going to have something that looks about like this. So what I want you to do is get out your front elevation that should probably look something like this, okay? And what I want you to do is save that file, resave it, but save it as it can have the exact same name but change front elevation to rear elevation. And when you have that file saved, what I want you to do is come in and start. There's a lot of stuff that we can remove from this drawing that is extraneous that we do not need for our rear elevation. So what you're going to do is you're going to make it look something like this. Okay? Whoa, there's not much there. This is what we need for a rear elevation. So you can kind of see what I mean. I took a lot out, all the dimensions, all the extra stuff. The only things I left were the wall outlines, anything that was going to be hung on the wall, i.e. photographs or portraits, and anything that touches the wall. In this case, the fireplace, which all I did was I used the polygon tool and I just went around it, created a polygon, erased everything else, and there it was. And then the staircase. You know, we don't need any of the other stuff, but we just know that this is where the staircase is going to connect to the wall. You see there's openings for doors and windows. Okay, and how I got that is what I did was I came in. If we look at this really close, okay, what I did was this right here, if we go from this line, the out, you see it's a big rectangle and there's an inside one and an outside one. If we draw a rectangle, that would be the size of the opening that we would have. That would be, they call it the rough opening, okay? So all this other stuff can be deleted, but we're going to go from the outside to the outside on both the doors. Then on the, let's scroll down here just a touch. And then on the window, it's a little harder to tell, but again, it would be on the outside, this line, that line right there, all the way around and across the bottom. Now, if you have converted this to lines, you're going to see there's going to be, 500 lines in this little drawing here. So what I did, which alleviated the need to sit and erase everything really carefully, is I drew a rectangle. I can show you. I drew a rectangle and I dragged it up till we got to the end point there. So we have our rectangle. I'm just going to pull it over here, and then what I'm going to do then is draw a circle, trim that. Oh, got a little bit hanging over, and trim that. Oh, okay, look at that. Till we have something like that. And then what I did was I selected it and I modified it and I composed it so now it's a polyline. And then I drew a little mark so I knew where it goes, erased all the window stuff, and then drag this back right onto the mark. Okay, so that's what you can do, and you can erase everything else till we get like that. Gesundheit. I don't know if you heard that. It was my wife sneezing. She sneezes on occasion. I just had a huge sneezing fit. So this is what we want it to look like when we're done, when we're ready to go and start rear elevationing it. What we want to do is, because we're looking at it from the front, now what we want to do is we want to select everything, and we want to flip it. And what we can do is just use the mirror command. But we just want to mirror it. We don't want to mirror and duplicate. So we'll come here. I'm just gonna we just want to flip it over, and here is our, now here's everything that is backwards. Okay, now we're looking at it from the rear. And the cool thing is about Vectorworks, I think it's a setting, is that it doesn't flip the text around, which is really cool. Okay, another thing, you're going to notice that this wall and this wall are exactly the same. So we don't necessarily need to do, if we know they're going to be exactly the same, I mean, we could draw this and put all the work into it and get it all set to go, but all we would have to do is go wall A and E, and we can go back, and now we can erase wall E. We can erase wall E. Wall-E. All right. So we're all set to start. We're going to start rear elevationing. So when we build walls in the theater, we build them in modules of 4 by 8, 4 foot by 8 foot. Why is that, you ask? Well, because if most of you already know this, but the front of our walls are usually covered or skinned with 1/4 inch Luan, 1/4 inch mahogany plywood, and those come in 4 by 8 foot sheets. So I like to use that as my starting point, and what I do is I draw a 4 foot by 8 foot rectangle. I got pretty close there. 4 foot, 8 feet. Okay, and what I do then is I make sure it has no fill, and I make sure the line is red. And I'm going to make it just a touch thicker. Let's do, it's a little thicker. So that's the first thing I do, is I lay out my 4 by 8 sheets. And what I'm going to do now is I'm gonna make a layer for these so I can turn them on and off. So I'm gonna move this over here, and what I'm gonna do, let's see what our layers, what they're called right now. Okay, we have a lot of stuff here. This is my drawing. Okay, what I'm gonna do is I have it in the scenery layer, but I want to confirm that. Oops. I'm going to select everything. I'm going to select everything, and I'm going to come over here, and everything is in the scenery layer. And then for some reason, they're in different classes. So what if this happens to you? All you have to do is put it in class none. And the one thing we want to do is we want to put if it doesn't have a plane, we want to put it in screen plane. So we want none, scenery, screen. But now what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a new layer. Okay. Make a new layer, new design layer, and I'm going to call that Luan. There's about 6 different ways to spell Luan. That's one of them. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to come up and make sure that's right. So I want to, now I want to make sure we're in the Luan layer. So I come back, and the only thing I need to do is make sure this one is in the Luan layer, And so again, we're going to do none, and Luan, and we're all set. So now we did, as Dr. Ross said, we've done a bunch of our kitchen table work, and I think we're ready to go. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to drag and drop these, drag and copy. I'm going to take these and I'm just going to kind of drop them down on top of, and I'm going to fill up all of the wall as much as I can with Luan. And so I'm gonna speed this up a little bit, and so I don't waste your time watching me copy in rectangles. All right, we're back, and I have all of the Luan sheets roughly laid in. I'm going to delete my original. All right, so but we looks like we have quite a bit of extra Luan hanging around here, and we need to make it look neat, and so that's what we're going to do next. So let's take a look at this one. And I'm going to show you what I do on this one, and then I'm going to again do the rest and speed it up. So this piece of Luan right here is going to come, it's almost like a little L shape, okay? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this one out, and I'm going to redraw it as a okay, and I'm going to make that not solid. I'm going to make it red. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to come back and remember how to make something default. You make sure nothing's selected, and you come back, none, red. I'm going to fix and let's see. I'm going to quick change again, I'm setting the defaults. I'm going to set my default class to none, and Luan is default. So I'm going to do the same thing on this one. Okay. Draw that. Oh, we got a little bit. Let's go back. I'm going to zoom in here and get this. Okay. There. Okay. I think that's that. So now we can delete this guy. zoom back in here. Okay, now the rest of, so this one right here, we're going to do the same thing. We're going to zoom in and we're going to draw this one. It's a little tedious, but again, it's really important in these drawings, clarity, because these are the drawings that, if you were the technical director, these are the drawing types that you would make, and things would be built off of it. So, you know, yes, it may be tedious, but it also ensures that your drawing is going to be correct. So there and there. Okay. Got that guy deleted. Now these couple here, we can just pull down, or we can pull down. This one we can pull down and over, and this one's going to be pulled over, and these couple we are going to we'll just delete them and then come back and redraw them in. That's one, and let's do the other one. All right, there we have this wall completely. We know exactly how much Luan we're going to need for this wall. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to do these. I'm going to speed it up, and we'll meet back when I'm done. All right, we're back. You kind of saw a couple things that I did. I used the existing window to help me make the cut for the Luan. Okay, and I just kind of adjusted all the sizes, everything, and now we should be all set. We have our Luan laid out. So now what we're going to do is we're going to build these flats, and I don't expect you to know how to build a flat, but I will talk you through the elements and what we need to build a flat, and you know, you'll have a little better understanding after we do this. So when you build a flat, let's see. Now what I'm going to do though is I want to change the layer. I want to make a framing layer. Okay, so I'm gonna go new framing. Okay, now we have that, and we should be good. So we have a framing. Okay, so when we build theatrical walls or flats for that we frame them with 1x4s, and if you remember correctly, 1x4s have an actual dimension of 3/4 of an inch by 3.5. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to put a 3/4 inch piece of 1x4 right across the top, and what we're going to do is we're going to use rectangles. So I'm just going to draw a big rectangle like that. Oh, now I want to change that back to black, and I want to change the default back to black. Back in black. AC/DC. Good stuff. Alright, so I want to select it. I want to change the height to 3/4 of an inch. So if we come in here and look, here is the top piece of our flat. Okay, now what I'm going to do, I'm going to zoom out just a little bit. I'm going to drag this piece down. I'm going to drag it down. I'm going to hold down the control key to and I'm going to grab it, and I'm going to grab it in the corner, and I'm going to pop it right in the bottom corner here. Now we have our bottom 1x4. So now what we're going to do is we're going to start popping in the verticals, and because I'm lazy, I'm going to use tools. I'm going to rotate this one up, and I want to rotate it and copy it. Okay, I guess it's, oh, there we go. Okay, so we're going to rotate it and copy it, and it put it there, but it didn't put it exactly in the right spot. So I'm going to come back, and I don't know if I'm going to undo. Now you see what it did. Well, it's kind of, it put it on the outside, and if I come in here, I'm just going to kind of drag it away first and then drag it back in. Now this is what we don't want to have, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to shorten this one just a little bit. I'm going to come up and we're going to shorten this one. Ooh, that's a long one. Alright, so let's grab this. We're just going to drag it down. And we're going to snap it to the bottom of that. So now we have our first vertical in. So now, if you've ever done home demolition, or if you've ever seen houses get built, you know, you've seen the wall studs, all the verticals, and usually in a home, the studs are anywhere from 16 to 18 inches. So depending on the how the wall is going to be used, I'm gonna, you know, that's how much vertical studs you'll have in there. And I'm going to look at our finished, and I'm going to zoom in just a touch. Okay, it looks like we are doing 2 foot, or depending on how things lay out, we're doing a generally a 2 foot. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come back here to our rear elevation. Okay, and what I'm going to do to start is I'm going to just blanket do a edit duplicate array, and we're going to do a linear array, and I think I'm going to put about 22 of these, and we are moving it in the X dimension 2 feet, and we're going to click OK, and here's our 2 feet. So now, oh, there's quite a bit there, so I think I can delete some of these. Yeah, we'll just get rid of those. I put a lot of them in. I could have probably got by with about 10 maybe. Alright, so let's get back in here. So now the thing is we don't want these studs going through the, we don't want them going through the door. So what we're going to do is we're going to move this, and we're just going to drag it over till it touches just the edge of the wall, just like that. Okay, and we're going to do the same thing right here. Okay, and we're going to do that, and then let's come over here and look and see how how we're doing. Okay, we're going to have to do the same thing here. Now you look at this, and what we're going to do now with this one is we'll come back to this. Okay. All right. So let's get in here, and the other thing we're going to do is we need to put a bottom and a top stud in here. So I'm just going to draw one in quick. Needs to be, again, 3/4 of an inch. We're just going to drop him down, or her, this stud right here. Okay, and then we're going to do the same thing. We're going to do it at the bottom. So I'm just going to drag it down and copy it and drag and copy. So, okay, come on. Okay, we're going to pop that right there. So now what we have to do, we'll just zoom out. Okay, now what we need to do is we need to put, because this right here is where the Luan joins. So what we want to do is we need to make another, we need to put another piece of stud in there of 1x. So I'm just going to control and drag and drop it. And what we want to do, there's a couple different ways you can do, but for the purposes of this drawing, one way, the first, what I'm going to do is we're going to pop this, this 1x4. We're going to pop it right so it spans the joint where the Luan, where it spans the joint where the Luan. Okay, okay, let's try that again. Okay, pop that right there. Okay, now of course we need to make it shorter. And again, this is you know, to do it, this is the right way to do it. And to do it right, it takes a little bit of time. Oh, okay. Well, if we see down here, we're going to need one at the bottom. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy and paste in place. No, I'm going to drag this up, and then I'll just drag a new one into place. But again, we want to make sure we do these right. That's really important, and that's why it takes a while sometimes. Okay, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to drag this one down, and then we'll get him put into place. So I said there were three ways you could do this. One is we're just going to have this 1x4 that sort of splits the difference. Okay, but if it doesn't give you a whole lot of room to screw into, there's 3/4 of an inch, so you have 3/8 of an inch to a target to hit. So what sometimes we do is we take a 1x4 and we lay it on face. So then you have 3.5 inches to hit, but that then makes the framing a little more difficult. If you have, and then the third way is to take and use as verticals, use 2x4s. But sometimes that gets a bit heavy. So let's come back and look again. Okay. Oh yeah, we move that. Let's move that back into place. Okay, so now we have that. Let's come over and let's do the same thing for our door over here. Now we don't need to have one across the bottom, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to come in and I'm going to drag this. I'm going to drag this piece right here. And where's our door? Where did it go? It's right there. I was really close. Okay, there we go. Okay, now what I'm going to do is we're going to come back here. I'm going to grab a couple of these guys here. Okay. Come on. There we go. I'm going to drag him right there. Okay. I'm going to zoom in. Okay, we don't want to do that. Okay, that's there. And also what I'm going to do is I'm going to use this for the bottom. Okay, I'm going to drag them into place here. Okay, so now we have the bottom, and now what I'm going to do is take a break for about 2 seconds, and all right, and we're back. Full disclosure, the dogs were barking and the UPS man was delivering a package. So there you have it. Okay, where are we? We need to put, so we have this side of the flat pretty almost done. So what we have to do is we have to finish up here. So we have to put the verticals in for the door here. Gosh. Okay, so what I'm going to do is what we're going to do, so now we don't have to we don't need a whole nother long one on either side. It kind of, you put the door, you put things where you want as a scene designer, and then, then we build it as you drew it. So we're not going to move the door to make it easier to build in this case. So what we're going to do is I'm going to take this top piece on the door, and I'm just going to extend it out to the corners of these other two. There we go. All right. Move that over. Okay, now what I'm going to do, just because it's a little shorter, so I'm going to copy it, drag it, copy it, control. I'm going to rotate it down. I don't want to copy it. Okay. And now what I'm going to do, yes. Now what I'm going to do is we're just going to stick this in the corner. Okay. Pull it down. Oh. And here's one. Drag that one over. Okay. All right. That one's there. And now we just need to we just need to pull this one up so it's not in the middle of our door frame. Okay. I want to do it just a little bit. Okay. Pause. Alright, so I had to stop the video because it was getting too long. You figured that out already. So we're back. And let's see, so what were we doing here? We were coming in and we were filling in our 1-bys here. So now what we got to do is we have to make sure wherever there is a crack, wherever there is a joint between two pieces of, wherever there is two pieces of luan coming together, we have to have a 1x4 there. Okay, so it goes right in the center. That's really important, okay, because you don't want to design it, because there's nothing worse than, because usually what the shop does is they will frame it assuming that you did the right thing, and then when they come back, it will be, if it's, if they have to put another 1x4 in, that's kind of a pain in the hiney. So let's see, we have to put another one in. Let's see, let's zoom in here. Okay, we got one right here. Okay, top. It is not liking that top center. Okay, you just got to zoom in and grab it. And let's see, that's there. Okay, now what we're going to do is we're just going to move this guy over. Okay, and I'm just going to kind of scroll across and make sure we're, okay, here's another one. Okay. Zoom in again because it's not liking that. Okay. Okay, let's see there. We got that right in the center. Let's make sure. Okay, that's right in the center. Just keep on keeping on here. Okay, and I think that is, we have almost everything done. So we're going to do one more thing, and we're going to put our we have to put some in the middle here, because again, you see the red line. We have to make sure we have a piece of we have a piece of 1x4 there. Okay, so again, I'm gonna drop this guy right in here. Okay. Wow. That's the problem when you have small rectangles like this, is it just doesn't like to, it has a hard time snapping. Okay, so now what we could do is we could just drag the piece across, but again, that's not what you do. So, like how it is, so you can see the overlap there. The shop, they'll see that, and it won't be clear how to cut the pieces of 1x4. So again, we just have to kind of come across here, and I'm going to copy that. Zoom in here just a little bit, because that was probably not, it's not lined up right. I kind of eyeballed it and I got close, but not perfect. Again, it's CAD. We want it perfect. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to go through and put these in. Well, yeah, I'm going to go through. I'm going to put these in. I'll speed it up so it takes less time. So I'll be back in just a couple seconds. And there we are. There's our last piece there. So now we're getting near the end. So what we need to do is we need to, one of the reasons why we leave the portraits, things that are hanging on the wall, is so we can put things for the portraits to hang from. So what we usually do for when there's something on the wall to hang, what we'll do is this is the case where we'll put a 1x4 on face, and a 1x4 on face is 3.5 inches. So we're going to draw height, pretty close there, 3.5 inches. Okay, and what I'm going to do is I'm just going to kind of drag this down just a little bit, so it's just right about there, because usually when you hang a portrait, it's not exactly at the top. So, all right, so there's that. So that is our, we have all the pieces put in now. Now what we have to do is do some dimensioning, okay? And again, we're going to start at the top. Now you can look at the the sample over here to see. So I think you're probably figuring it out just a little bit, but that the drawing that I sent you is sort of like not exactly what it's going to look like, but this is kind of how you want it. This is just kind of a sample to see what yours needs to look like when it's done. So we're going to come back, and what we're going to do is we're going to add it. Oh, we're going to add in. Oh, my password is going to go bad. That's good. We're going to put in some dimensions. So the first thing we want now when you're dimensioning something, you want to dimension it, and you want to make sure you have everything dimensioned. So the goal is that that the carpenters don't have to put a tape measure to the paper, or scale rule to the paper. Okay. And so we're going to do that. We're going to do the top piece because that's its own piece, and we want this to be ASME, just like that. Now what we're going to do, I'm going to make the text a little smaller, size 12. I'm going to make it about an 8. Okay, now we have to dimension the vertical, and remember that is I'm not sure what happened. Okay, of course it didn't take, so we're just going to do it again here. Okay. Change it to ASME. Okay. Oh, and we got to make the text. What did we make that at? An 8? 9. Okay. And what I need to do is I need to change that size. Oh, there's our weird dimension. I need to make sure we're going to change the default font size. Okay. It's going to be an 8. All right. And we got to move that guy just a little touch over there. Okay, so now we have, if we look at it, let's zoom out and then zoom back in. So this dimension right here dimensions this one, 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 and that one. So that does a lot of dimensioning. Now what we have to do is we have to dimension what this size is right here. Okay, so we're going to come over here, and what we're going to do now, dimension, we're going to go from the inside, and now we could go, you would think, and do it like that, but you see how that line is in there? We don't want to have this line here because that may throw people off, and it's like, okay, is that line a piece of wood? What is it? What I'm going to do is I drag it back and I snap it to itself right there. So, because you can tell, people drawing can tell that it's like, okay, we're dimensioning this piece right here. So now what the next thing we're going to do is we're going to dimension to these guys here. So I'm going to, and in this case, I'm going to dimension here, here, ASME. Okay, I want to make sure I have, let's see, we want to, let's see, do we have any more here? So I'm not going to go through and finish all of this because now it's just taking time. But we want to make sure, you know, we have the width of the door opening dimensioned. We want to make sure we have the height of the door opening dimensioned. We want to make sure all this is dimensioned. Look through it and think. It's like, okay, make sure you all know enough. You've worked in the shop or you've worked around the shop that it's like, okay, make sure you can look at it and, okay, is every piece of wood dimensioned? Is every board dimensioned? That's the question you ask yourself. Let's see. Oh, I have a poker surprise. Isn't that nice? So that is really close to everything you need to know. You want to make sure the wall is there. Now, you can move all these guys around. So I'm gonna take these and slide them down just a touch. Oh, okay. We're gonna go back. Slide them down just a little bit. Okay, and then we'll slide this one over just a bit. There. Let's see what we look like. You know, again, that's the great thing about CAD is you can do all the drawings and then you can come back and you can move things around. So I'm just going to kind of slide this fellow over here, and here we are. So again, you know, you're going to come through. Now you don't necessarily need here. You don't need to frame anything out special for the fireplace. You don't need to, you know, do any specific framing like this up here for the step. All that's there is just tell the carpenters that, hey, there is a fireplace there. There's a step there, so you know that it's there. And when they start putting it together, they kind of have an idea of where everything sits next to each other. So I think that is just about everything. That should get you really, really far. Again, your drawings are going to look closer to this rather than this. Okay, again, I'm providing this to you as simply a sort of like, okay, how should it look? And yeah, so folks, that is that was a long one, but it's, again, you want to make sure you do it right. You want to make sure you do it accurately, and it is tedious, but the end result is you have a good looking, you have an accurately built set. So we'll talk to you later.